I do want to talk about the future of British boxing. And the reason I bring this up is I did a video on my YouTube channel the other day, and I was thinking, who are the next superstars of the sport? I mean, we've almost been spoiled a bit that we've had this run where, we've had Joshua and Fury. These are stadium fighters, which is incredible. These guys do stadiums. And then we've had, ones that Dillian Whyte, Chisora, Josh Warrington, and you've been up there at the First Direct and sort of Ellen Road, where he's put on big fights. Lee Wood has got a little following now, the Nottingham fans. They're all sort of mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
These guys will be done in the next 12 to 18 months and probably be out of the sport, probably all of them, if I'm honest with you. So who is the next ones? I mean, when you look down the list, and you would have covered all the guys coming through, and girls, who do you think are the next superstars of the sport? Who moves the needle? Who puts bums on seats? Who potentially can do pay-per-views?
Well, you've got three. I'm going to leave you say them in a minute that you've outlined to me before the show. But I think I'm going to pick three others or four others.
Okay.
And they include Galal Yafai, who was in action at the weekend, who's developing very quickly. Obviously, a gold medalist from Tokyo at flyweight. Pat McCormack, a silver medalist, who's under the auspices of Ben Davison. And Ben genuinely says to me, Ade, that he believes that Pat could be the greatest boxer he's ever worked with so far, which is saying an enormous amount about him. Adam Azim, jury's out still. He's 11 fights in. He's a big star of the boxer stable, but not quite a star yet. That's come into focus with the rows of Frank Smith and Eddie Hearn over Dalton Smith, who I don't think he was ready for. And I think in female terms coming through, we're going to see her in action, a world title fight with Jessica McCaskill soon. I'd say Lauren Price. I think those four have got a lot of skills and a lot of abilities and the chance to come through. And having been in the sport a very long time, sometimes you get to an end of an era where you think, oh, God, where are the new stars coming from? You want the heavyweight stars as well. And I know you'll point to that in a minute. But it's always a conveyor belt because people are always developing. Who are your three to add to that four then?
Yeah, so I've gone Ben Whittaker. I think he has everything, if I'm honest with you. I think he's already now got a big social media.
Apart from power so far.
Yeah, apart from that, because he did land some good shots on the kid a couple of weeks ago and didn't really damage him, put him down in the first, but couldn't get rid of him. But he's got a massive following already. I think he's got 1 million followers on Instagram, which kind of unheard of, really, for a boxer coming through that early. He's only had, what is his 8th professional fight?
Well, his showboating helped that the other day, and loads of stars watched those viral clips. And that is, we talked about it earlier, it's a very important part of your career as a fighter. Absolutely, it is massive.
It's massive. He started getting, as you say, he started getting people like Shakur Stevenson saying that this is incredible, Devin Haney. Everyone started following him. And then what really impressed me over here was the footballers came to the fights. Ivan Toney was there. So big footballers are coming to watch him box as well, which doesn't really happen that much. So I think Ben Whittaker, I'd be shocked if Ben Whittaker doesn't become a star. And I think if he doesn't, it's only down to him because I think he has pretty much everything. I've gone for a heavyweight just because I ruled off a few names of guys that will be gone soon, and they're pretty much all heavyweights. And I just think that we love the big boys, don't we? We love them. And there's something about Moses Atuma that I really like. I love his personality. He's still very, very young. I think he's got everything. Again, he can box. He's got the skills. I hear about the sparring stories. We need to see those transferred into the ring against sort of big names soon. But I think this guy in the next 12 to 18 months, and look, he's with Frank, and Frank knows to kind of what direction to push these fighters in. I think if Frank puts him in the right direction, the right fights at the right time, I think Moses Atuma could be a superstar.
I think he could be the biggest of all of them, frankly.
Oh, I like it. Go on.
I really do, of all of them, because he's a heavyweight. And I've spent a bit of time with him in the last year, and I like him more and more. And he when very young people take to things, if you're good enough, you're old enough. You know that saying.
Good shout. Yeah.
I forget that he's blooming 18, 19.
Doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Like when I'm around him, I'm interviewing him like I feel like I'm interviewing a fully grown man.
But
and I'm like, well, one second, I'm old enough to be your dad.
But it was like that with Mike Tyson. I'm old enough to be his granddad.
Great granddad, not joking. Yeah.
No, granddad. I'm old enough to be I'm 3 times his age.
Crazy.
So it is. It's that weird, you know. So I know it's a very, very good call.
And my final one, and we'll discuss some more as well, but my final one's Dalton Smith.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because sort of Sheffield's always been a hotbed for boxing and they've produced so many superstars over the years. Obviously, none bigger than Prince Nassim Hamed, but most recently, Kell Brook. And Kell was there a couple of weeks back on Saturday when he destroyed Cepeda. And it almost felt like that moment where Kell said, okay, here's the torch. This is up to you now. I think the fan base is growing. I think there was about 3,000 or 4,000 in the arena. It will grow eventually. It's an organic growth as well. And I like that. I'm always worried when 20,000 turn up and you don't perform and then 20,000 disappear. He's got a hardcore following. And I think there's something special about him as well. He's got the look. I like Dalton Smith a lot. And I think Eddie's keen with him as well. So those are my three.
Yeah,
But there could be more.
Listen, that's seven. That's seven.
Yeah.
That's you know, we could go to 10, but next week we could look at another 3. But I think that's plenty coming through, and they're in the mid phase at the moment. And it's people will suddenly emerge as well that you don't expect to emerge on the basis of 2 or 3 performances, or something that happens, or something that goes viral, like you say about Ben Whittaker.
You're right. You look at Tyson Fury. I mean, when AJ was doing stadiums, I mean, Tyson Fury, he wasn't that guy. And all of a sudden, Tyson Fury, over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, has become equal, some might say even bigger than AJ in terms of filling arenas and stadiums. And I don't think many would have expected that from Tyson Fury. So you're right. Some can be late bloomers in terms of becoming superstars.
Absolutely right.
With Galal Yafai, you mentioned him. Obviously, fought on the weekend, got another win, Olympic gold medalist. You know, when I sort of say sort of stars and bums on seats and ticket sales, etc., do you think he can do that? Do you think he can start to get the following? I mean, he's got all the skills, right? He's got everything, right, in order to become a world champion. But do you think he's got enough in terms of transferring that to people sort of putting their hard-earned money behind him?
It's down to the weight class that he's in at flyweight. Look, he's a Commonwealth gold medalist. He's an Olympic gold medalist. You don't come much better than that. European Games bronze medalist. He's 8-0 with 6 stoppages and 2 by decision. The problem is there isn't a lot of glamour around the very much lighter weights, and you know, it may never be. I mean, look at the achievements of Sonny Edwards till he lost recently. He never, and he's very outspoken and very talked about. It's just one of those weird things about boxing that the smaller men in our country don't have as much impact as the heavyweights. They steal all the limelight, rightly or wrongly. So that's the scenario those guys face. But in terms of what he's achieving and what he's achieved so far, he's very self-critical. He was unhappy with himself on Saturday night. I thought he did all right. I predicted a stoppage for him. Eddie Hearn's putting him in against really decent guys already. He's a very aggressive, counter-punching southpaw. And he's the perfect style, simple as that. But he's just going to have to keep working at it.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think, and one more here now, and it's the one that we didn't mention. And I think if we were both asked this question 12 months ago, I think it would have been the first name off both of our lips, and that's Conor Benn. Conor Benn was the one that I think everyone, if you asked everyone out there, all the British boxing fans, who's going to be the next superstar in the next 12 to 18 months and fill out all the arenas, I think everyone unanimously would have said Conor Benn. How much work does he have to do to kind of get the British fans back behind him, number one? And I guess he's just got to start fighting again over here, hasn't he?
Look, he's in no man's land at the moment, walking through, you know, a minefield, really. I mean, he's back at the front door. He's gone all the way around the block in terms of what's happened with the 2 positive tests. They've done, you know, jurisdiction, but they haven't done strict liability. For me, he's back at the front door.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago, I think outside the heavyweights, he was potentially the biggest star coming up in the UK. Resonant, making noise, name known. In some ways, he's a bigger star now, but maybe there's something tainted in that. I don't know if that's unfair or not, but yes, he's still a very big name. But his big fights are in the UK. His big fights, he's not a global name, he's a British name. So the key for him is to get his British license back, or find a way that he can fight in the UK, Addy, not abroad. Or if it's on one of those Saudi cards, but they're licensed by the Boxing Board of Control at the moment, or
Yep.
commissioned by the Boxing Board of Control, that's probably his route. Because it's the fight with Chris Eubank that I think most people want to see.
Yeah, it's crazy to think of what could have been if he had that fight with Chris Eubank Jr. And beat him. You're looking at a superstar, and here we are now, over a year later, and still no resolution when it comes to Conor Benn.